Minecraft just turned 15 years old, and the end has only received one major update in that time. The end desperately needs an update, and here's why. Some love it, some fear it, but no matter if you've ever beaten Minecraft before, everybody knows that the end lives up to its name. It's the end game for Minecraft. If you're a relatively veteran player, you likely remember the update in which the end was given an extremely significant revamp. The same update that introduced the interesting kill cooldown and made axes the strongest weapons. Yeah, that's version 1.9. Prior to this update, the end was really empty. The dragon was breathing on your neck while you hit a few pillars scattered across a small island in order to weaken the dragon, and then you got to do the fun part of killing it. And that was about it. You got some experience, a cool egg that doesn't actually do anything besides look cool, and that was about it. Roll the credits. When 1.9 was released, it brought an entire revamp for the end that made the endgame experience more worth it. The end became more structured and more sought out. Most notably, the introduction of the elytra would completely change the landscape of so many aspects of Minecraft. Whether you went solely for that coveted elytra or for the other goodies like the dragon head and the special armor, the end finally had more to offer. The end revamp was one part of the 1.9 update that everybody mostly agreed on. But as they say, the years go by fast. That update released over 8 years ago, aka over half of Minecraft's life ago. Since then, 0 significant updates have been given to the end. 1.11's introduction of mapping in the end, which was pretty insignificant in of itself, was quite literally the last notable addition to the dimension. Especially since the transition into Minecraft's 1.20s, people have once again begun to criticize Minecraft for letting so many updates pass without an end revamp. Okay, we know, the end needs an update, but what exactly? When this video topic first came into my head, I immediately started digging for answers. What do the people want? What do the people really want? Some people had very similar requests, and some definitely differed, to say the least. For the purposes of a bite-sized video like this, here are the most notable requests I saw while looking through the requests for the end revamp. Number 1, not even directly in the dimension itself, but a stronghold revamp. I have to say, I forgot about how overlooked this stronghold is on the journey to the end. It's the great build-up that prepares you for the end of the game, housing some notable structures such as the Grand Library, full of books, and even some rare enchantments, as well as chests scattered around the stronghold that contain various decent items, and of course, the portal room itself. As most of these requests came post-cave update, I saw a lot of people talk about adding diversity to the stronghold itself depending on where it spawns. If you found the stronghold in a lush cave, for example, there would be a mossy look to the structure with different plants creating a funky accent to the structure. Maybe even a generally withered look as well, reflecting how ancient the structure might be. Additionally, within lush caves, mobs would spawn more frequently within the stronghold. In the dripstone cave, the stronghold would have a flooded look with drowns swimming through it. In the rare case that the stronghold spawned in the deep dark, you'd have to fear the warden on top of getting to the end. This sense of diversity through different stronghold variations would create a little bit more of a collector's look to Minecraft. Additionally, in regards to the stronghold, some people suggested that strongholds in general contained more armored zombies and skeletons. This would create a harder challenge for the player to navigate the structure. Also, perhaps a controversial but very interesting addition I saw requested was the idea of needing to complete some sort of puzzle, or maybe even find some sort of key in order to open the portal room. Essentially, you would be unable to break into the portal room directly and would have to do something that would force you to take your time in the stronghold in order to actually get to the end. It would lengthen the experience of the endgame Minecraft just a little bit. Obviously, this is very controversial, especially in the context of speedrunning, although I'm not sure how many people focus on speedrunning in the year 2024. But if it was still 2020 and you had creators like Dream dominating the speedrun genre, there would have been a significant outcry to an addition that slowed players down from progressing through the game. Okay, now for the actual end itself. 1.9's end update allowed for a more central fighting location where the pillars would spawn in the same location every time, with some end crystals behind iron bars to make the fight slightly more challenging. Of course, you were also given the opportunity to respawn the Ender Dragon as well. Even with these additions, however, the Ender Dragon fights just feel slightly empty. Or perhaps a better word could be predictable. Some players suggested that the dragon should have more diverse and unpredictable attacks that made the fight more interesting, such as a targeted acid attack directly at the player rather than in a general direction. Other suggestions included a ram attack, where the dragon would actually charge at the player and send them into the air like an explosion. This would make water bucket MLGs a necessity. Similarly, a shockwave-like attack where the dragon essentially belly flopped onto the ground and pushed the player back dozens of blocks would add a pretty interesting fight tactic to the dragon. Also, I definitely think that fireballs could be used more often by the dragon, where it would actually send multiple fireballs out at once rather than a single attack. Naturally, some dragon progression could be implemented to great effect here. The lower the dragon's health, the more frequent and dangerous these attacks would become. This would help the dragon fight maybe feel a little bit harder than the wither fight. Okay, maybe that helps out the dragon fight just a little bit, but what about the rest of the end? Surely there's more that can be done for the outer end region, right? Oh, definitely. First of all, looking at the actual end islands themselves, they feel just a little bit too uniform. These islands extend forever and don't really vary that much. You have the main islands and the small islands, but when it comes to the height levels of these islands, there's actually very little variation seen. If new landforms in the end, such as the higher mountains or even subbiomes such as chorus fruit forests were added, it could slightly enhance the diversity of the end region itself. Additionally, a request I saw from a specific Redditor was the addition of end shipwrecks. When I saw this, I was shocked because it actually has a very interesting concept. Similarly to how you'd find ruin portals in the overworld, you could randomly find these ships crashed throughout the outer end, and while they wouldn't contain an elytra necessarily, they would still have some smaller goodies such as the overpowered tools and armor you'd find in normal end cities. Even though they would be a small accent to the outer end, I could see this as a fantastic way to spice up the end a little bit. And here's another thing that could be scattered across the end. And perhaps this is far-fetched, but considering what already exists in Minecraft, maybe it's not. So, dragon bones. Or perhaps entire dragon skeletons scattered throughout the outer end. I'm not crazy, I promise. Although these structures would be extremely, and I mean extremely rare, you'd be able to find old remnants of past ender dragons that would include bone blocks and small amounts of dragon scale blocks that could be broken down into the dragon scales. What you would be able to do with dragon scales, I'm not exactly sure yet, but it would have a special use that would make you want to travel thousands of blocks through the end to find it. Another random addition I saw suggested was endermite nests. While one person described it similarly to silverfish blocks, I actually imagine a small nest-like structure, maybe similar to a pillager outpost, that hosts hundreds of endermites. However, this nest would include some good loot inside of the chest at the nest. It's kind of a silly idea that perhaps sounds a little bit modded, but I could definitely see it spicing up the outer end just a little bit. Similarly to how pillager outposts contain the horns, maybe these endermite nests would contain some other rare item that the player would seek out. I could definitely see it spicing up the outer end just a little bit, along with the dragon bones and the end shipwrecks. Obviously, those are some smaller additions, but what about adding a new mob into the end? If you've ever played Minecraft Dungeons, you'll know about the Enderlings. These are different end mobs that could roam the dimension and add a more challenging aspect to traveling through the outer end region. Considering that the current Endermen are typically pretty easy to avoid as long as you're smart, adding a necessary battle through the outer end could spice things up just a little bit. In specific examples, the Blastling mob, which is part of the Enderlings, would shoot purple projectiles at the player similar to the Piglin crossbow hunter. And of course, in true end fashion, the Blastling could teleport away if the player got too close to it. In addition, Snarelings, which act similarly to spiders, would seek the player out by teleporting closer to them and then repeatedly attack the player until they died. Let me clarify, until the Snareling died, unless the player got killed, which is sad. Upon death, they would drop an equivalent of a spider's cobweb through Snareling goop, which could perhaps be collectible for other uses in the game. And lastly, perhaps the scariest of all three mobs, the Watchling would also teleport toward you and hold the player in a grip that they would not be able to escape until they took a few hearts perhaps. The Watchlings would be more rare but the most deadly of the new mobs. The Watchlings would be more rare but the most deadly of the new mobs because of their dangerous behavior. Since all of these mobs already exist in Minecraft Dungeons, it would definitely be easier for Minecraft to add them, and I think they could serve as an additional challenge within the end. Furthermore, a material that could be added into the outer end would be end crystal shards. Of course, we know and maybe love or hate the end crystals, and they already have a way to be crafted within Minecraft. But it would be very interesting to see end crystals be able to be used as other accessories such as armor trims, or maybe this is far-fetched, but making even stronger end crystals by enhancing them somehow with these end shards. Stronger end crystals could create more convoluted ender dragon fights that would be more difficult but also reward more XP at the same time. It is an interesting thought, but obviously a little bit complicated and maybe even moddy sounding. But to be fair, me included in this, a lot of people see Minecraft do a tiny update and then people immediately call it modded. So you have to start from somewhere. It's clear that players want to see updates to the end. Many players have already called for updates to the Badlands biome, which I actually made a whole entire mini documentary on, see the card above for the video. And similarly, the Badlands has also not been updated since 2016. I find that it's usually about 5 years on average that people begin to ask for updates, and typically Minecraft does deliver with new content within 10 years. Just as I believe the Badlands, Desert, and Savanna biomes will receive an update by 1.25, I also think that the End will experience a revamp by version 1.25 as well. Please let me know in the comments what updates to the End you'd like to see, because I saw so many different variations of requests that I could not get to in this video. And if you're looking for more Minecraft content from me, I stream very often and play with viewers over on my Twitch channel, which is in the link in description. I'm posting new videos weekly now, so make sure to subscribe for the next one, and have a good day.